Hello, everybody, to another episode of Faith Greater Than Fear. I'm here in Joplin, Missouri, and I get to lead the organization of GNPI, Good News Productions International. And from time to time, we get to interview people of faith who, from various places around the country and the world, are sharing what God is doing in their lives personally, in ministry, and in their businesses. And today, I've got the great pleasure of introducing to all of you and our audience, Jason Casey. Jason, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Hey, Jason, I know your family. We've gotten to know one another more and more, and I have just a ton of respect. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and what you do currently.
Sure. My wife, Heather, and I were missionaries in Italy for 11 years and came off the field in 2011 and are now in New Braunfels, Texas, which is just north of San Antonio. And we currently run a small business, Hodel window covering, and we provide, sell, and manufacture window treatments to a variety of different sectors. But that's kind of what we're doing now. We have 4 kids, Jacob, Haven, Harrison, and Geneva, from 22 all the way down to 11.
You don't look that old to have kids that old, let me just say.
Started early.
They have not been hard on you, maybe. Assume you all were well and healthy during the COVID. Texas has been one of the first to open up. Tell us how that's happening and affecting your life as a family and some of those rhythms that have had to adjust, and business as well, you being a business manager slash director.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been obviously really different, really interesting. We saw this coming, and so we took some measures early on so that we could keep all of our staff employed. They were able to stay on our payroll and continue working from home, managing the projects that they had, which has been really good. And so one of the things we started was a morning Zoom meeting every morning, and just a time to check in with everybody and share a thought or a scripture, and then pray with everybody, which has been a really encouraging thing. And now we're trying to figure out, do we continue that? We were meeting weekly before, but the daily check-in was a really important part, I think, of keeping everybody moving and positive, keeping morale up. And so in Texas, the governor has just lifted the restrictions, and so we're just now getting back into the office and figuring out what this new normal is going to look like. And so as far as a business, we're definitely experiencing a wave of business. It's almost like clients were holding back, but the ones that were already planning on moving forward with different projects are contacting us. In fact, my wife and I this morning were down on the Riverwalk at a hotel helping the installation team because they were trying to get a project done very quickly. And so, yeah, we're definitely seeing an uptick in business, and I don't know how long that will last, but for now we're trying to be proactive. And I think clients are looking for companies that weren't shaken, who are coming out of this confident and in a position to continue business as normal, whatever that looks like, but able to respond to their needs, with measures in place. Just yesterday, I was at another client's house, older couple, and they were very nervous. They had masks on. They wanted to be sure that we kept our distance, but they wanted to move forward. And so we're trying to adjust to that and be respectful. But at the same time, as a follower of Christ, right, we don't want to live in fear. And so that to me is like tension is we're trying to find is how do we move forward respectfully and taking the right precautions, but at the same time, not letting fear rule the day. So that's been tricky.
It is, and I was visiting Jason not that long ago with a local sheriff here who said, one of the things I'd like to give as advice to all of you listening, that as we serve the community, and he had well over hundreds of employees, that he said, just understand how we do our business in law enforcement with you, the community, as I have our people respond, is going to look a bit different. And that's going to be the case for business as well. And I appreciate the highlighting of the faith component of, and also, do we keep this habit we kind of developed in a crisis of the daily? Do we do it now again? Do we do it not at all? Or do we do some hybrid of that? That kind of conversation is going to be with all kinds of things that you're doing as well. Any other insights from the business side? I appreciate what you're sharing.
Absolutely. I think, initially there was a lot of concern. Am I going to be able to keep my job? Am I going to be able to stay employed? And it was, we're part of a coaching group, and the recommendation was obviously you want to infuse the company with confidence that we're going to get through this together. And so that was a piece of advice I really took to heart. And so it was every day, every time we'd meet together, it was, we are going to get through this. This is week 6, day 4, and we are on it is a long distance race. It's a marathon. And I kept that imagery of this is not going away soon. And so we've got to just stick together. And so we kind of crossed that line in a way in those meetings and really emphasized our personal lives. And in a business, it's always tricky. You don't want to go too far, but I really kind of put on the pastoral hat in some ways and just asked, how are things at home? How's your spouse's work going? How are things with the kids? And I think it really brought us together. I mean, there's only 10 employees here, and so we're small, pretty tight knit, but I think it took us a step further. And so first day back, we gathered it back in the shop where we have some more space, and we were all 6 feet apart, and some had masks on, some didn't. But we had that face-to-face meeting, and we kind of checked in, and it was really struck. One of the guys shared, I said, what was your takeaway from all this? And one guy just piped up and said, I realized I married the right person. That may seem small, but for someone young, early in marriage, to say, man, to see my spouse come through this and be such a support, and was really encouraging. So I just really surprised by some of the things that are shared. And I don't think we'll do it daily, but definitely for me, it helped just remind me, right, that these are people, and they have stories, and they have home lives that really tie into who we are as a company.
That is so precious. I know I go on some vacations or getaways weekend, and I tell my wife from time to time, I didn't realize how good you really are. And that's 39 years later. So kudos to this young man to find it out earlier. But they're also saying, Jason, that people don't want to just give up the community, the hometown feel, the family tightness that has been forced on us in a way that's been a breath of fresh air. People were talking the other day about just how enjoying God's creation is almost like this catharsis, and there's this therapy that takes away kind of some of the yuckiness and the fearfulness and says, I've got you. And I love that about you being pastoral with your staff and listening to them, coaching them. And probably no accident that young man shared what he did. So hoping the business rebounds back, saying people are responding to those who kind of have this confidence. I like what Eugene Peterson said, faith is patience in the same direction. And that's what you as the leader have done. You said, team, be patient. Team, this is the direction we're going, and we're going to make this. And people respond to that. From the ministry, what can you tell us, switch from the business side a bit to like either your small group or your leadership in whatever fellowship you and Heather, your wife, are involved in? What's changed there now that things are opening up?
Right. We are involved in the marriage ministry at our local church, and we had just been assigned some couples to go through some content with when this all happened. And it was really neat. We got together with the leadership of this ministry, and we just said, just because we can't get together doesn't mean this shouldn't continue happening. So it just led to checking in with them on a regular basis through social media or through texting or through Zoom calls. And so it was neat that we didn't have to stop. The momentum could continue on, and we could get to know these couples, especially when marriages were strained and there was extra pressure a lot of time spent together. So that was neat. And Heather and I really took advantage of the extra time at home just to call people that we haven't talked to in a while, missionaries we support, friends that are on the field somewhere. We're able to call them and just see how they're doing and pray with them. That was a real treat to just have extra time. Sometimes because of the time difference, it's hard to call them. And so it made it easier for us to carve out time to do that. I'm also involved in a coaching organization, a kingdom-based coaching organization. And so to be able to have extra time to call the people that are involved in that group, up in Missouri, but also here in Texas. And again, most of that was through Zoom or through phone calls. And it was just really neat to see that we're able to maintain that relationship. And in some ways, I think, grow and go deeper because it forced us to think about things differently and relate differently. That was all really, really good. And in fact, I kind of already miss having that extra free time now that I'm back in the office and focusing more energy on work again. But it was a real treat. And I honestly, I told someone this morning, I really miss having that extra time.
Time is such a precious gift. And I think we as busy Americans kind of squandered it a bit. And probably God is tapping first us, his children, and people of faith saying, hey, cherish it. And also, secondly, be a model of cherishing that with others as well. And I don't know if you viewers heard what Jason was saying, but there used to be a cross-cultural set of workers, a family in Italy, which was one of the harder hit European countries. So you live in the country where we've had much impact by the virus. And then you used to serve in a country that was highly impacted by that. Any insight you want to give our viewers to what you heard from your friends over in Italy at all and how they're doing?
Yeah, we obviously reached out to friends, both nationals and those who are still working there in the field. And it's been really neat to see, obviously, the country come together for the most part. Obviously, you've got issues that are still coming up, but the country really rallied and came together. And fortunately, no one that we know directly has been affected over there. But to see some of the opportunities again that have come out through the team there where we served in Ancona, one of the families was literally at home. The kids didn't leave, if I understand correctly, for weeks. And fortunately, they had a balcony. And they would write scriptures and write messages for their neighbors on their wall. And neighbors would take pictures of those scriptures, and it would circulate and get back to them from people that they didn't intend to see those scriptures. And so they were finding really creative ways to connect with people and share the gospel. But some really neat breakthroughs, because all of this is causing people, especially people that I love, the Italian people who in some ways are stuck, to think about life and faith and the Father in a different way. And so to hear some of the breakthroughs, people expressing a renewed interest in studying Scripture together has been really, really encouraging to see. I think it's the answer to prayers, for years and years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm from the perspective that God did not cause the coronavirus, but I am of the perspective that he is involved in everything in our lives, and he is involved in redeeming the negativity and the impact of the coronavirus. And you just illustrated that with your friends there. So Jason, Casey, tell us in a final minute or so, what would you tell our audience? Hey, this is what Heather and I have learned. This is what we've learned in our office. These are our major takeaways, and I want you to have or cherish them as well.
I think the recurring theme has been, and I guess it comes from Revelation, that he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Like, I think one of our biggest daily tasks as followers of Jesus is just to have open ears to hear his leading, to sense what he wants us to be about in every moment, and just to respond in obedience and faith. Several little things and a couple of big things happened during this time where, just sensing a leading and picking up the phone or sending an email in that moment led to some really neat opportunities. And so I think kind of quieting all the noise and really being more attuned to what the Father's saying has been so refreshing. And I'm hoping that we don't, lose that or move away from that.
Great words from Jason Casey. And so to all of you today, we hope you've enjoyed our brothers sharing. Jason, thank you. And for all of you, if you have a way to share it on your social media channels, please do that. There are others who would, like he said that scripture, have no idea how it's spread around to other places. So you don't know how his words here, God could be just using Jason's words for such a time as this and someone you know, or as you share it on your social media page. So Jason Casey, thank you. Take care of your family, take care of yourself, take care of your business. And from all of us here at GNPI, until next time, blessings to you. And we see you again for another episode of Faith Greater Than Fear.